Now, the keyboard's dead, right? Eventually, the keyboard is going to die. It's big, it's inefficient. Everyone wants to talk to their computers.
I do.
And the keyboards they're terrible
Carpal tunnel.
Exactly. Plus, if you have PDAs, handhelds, or it's like really tiny guys, you don't want to carry around something that's like 9 times the size of your PC.
Right.
Except that we're all used to this.
Right.
And a lot of us know how to touch type, which is a fairly fast way to enter large amounts of text.
Right.
So, a bunch of companies are competing, right? Obviously, the voice recognition is taking forever, so there's a lot of one-handed keyboard devices.
They want to be the next keyboard. Look how small that is.
Look how small. This is actually one example. Here, let me put it up next. They say it's 1/5 the size of a regular keyboard.
I think it's even smaller than that.
And it's called a Frogpad. Now, there's probably a half dozen major one-handed keyboarding type devices, either cording devices.
Yeah, we saw that one Douglas Engelbart had last week. Which
exactly.
Was
which actually, it looked like it was off of a, I can never remember what the court stenographers write on.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, a steno machine, yeah.
The idea, though,
this is more like a real keyboard just folded up.
Literally what it is you've got the most commonly used, what they claim are the most commonly used keys. There's 15 keys up here. So the white ones on there is anytime you hit one of these keys, so F, E, A, R, okay, and space. Now, if you want one of the less common letters, you have to combine the green key, which is the space key, and one of those keys.
So it's like a shift key kind of.
Exactly, Q, Z, L, C, V. Yeah. And then if you want to use punctuation, you've got the symbol key, which is the yellow ones. And there's a lot of key combinations. So in theory, you emulate 104 key keyboard by different combinations of how you chord this.
You've got Control, you've got Alt.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is a lot of key commands are where these things kind of start falling apart.
Like Control C.
Exactly. Well, yeah. See, that's where I start to get really pained because you got to do, okay, there's Control and, okay, Z, so green, and it may or may not work. It gets a little awkward. For the basic stuff, go ahead.
The other thing, I'm a lefty. This looks kind of like it's oriented towards...
Supposedly a right-handed version of this is coming out. You know what makes this even more frustrating as a right-handed user? Is you figure, right, if you're going to type with one hand, you're going to mouse with the other hand.
Oh, that's not good.
What Douglas Engelbart was saying.
Right.
So we have two right-handed devices here if you're right-handed. So in theory, you could switch the keys around or use this.
So I really should use it right-handed so I can use my mouth with my left.
I would almost say you would use it, right-handed because simply
I'm
getting
have to
the space
learn
the number
anyway.
key. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting is all these devices, and actually there's, for some reason I can no longer maximize anything on this system. Interesting.
Maybe it's the frog.
It may well be. Yeah. Let me take the control off of there. There we go. And I love
That's
these,
it.
like,
You were
product
right-clicking.
demoing. Yeah. Well, what's interesting though is right. The Frogpad sells for $189, which is pretty inexpensive if you compare it to something like Tasha's Win Mini. That's this gadget right here, which is $750. Matthias has the half keyboard. A lot of people have seen this where the shift key actually uses. Basically, it's one half of a keyboard.
So it's a QWERTY.
Yeah, so it's, S and L, D and K, F. And another one that's actually kind of a hoot, there's not really a good picture of this one. If you see it down in the left-hand corner, is the Twiddler 2 from Handy Key, which actually combines, it's a pointing stick under your thumb, and then a keyboard, you use the key combinations down there. There's a ton of competition to replace the keyboard, especially for portable devices. The truth is they all have a learning curve. And one of the things the Frogpad people are like, oh, most of the universe has never learned how to touch type, so this is the perfect time.
Right.
The people who haven't learned how to touch type yet are not going to learn how to touch type one-handed for a complicated device. You can learn this. It's not too bad.
Well, I'd worry if I learned that maybe it would be outmoded, and then I've learned on the wrong keyboard. I have to start all over again.
For advanced users, again, doing a lot of key commands, the function keys aren't there. That gets immensely frustrating if you're used to using those.
There's no function keys.
There's no function keys. If you can find them.
No. So how do I do Alt F4 and close an application?
Well, that's the thing.
It's a limitation of it.
It's a limitation of it. This is a great device if you want to enter a lot of text, if you want to answer emails on a portable that accepts USB.
Right.
I think it suffers from the same sort of pricing/learning curve disabilities that
I commend anybody who wants to innovate.
Yeah.
Certainly, this isn't the end of the line on input devices, but you don't think this is either.
I don't think any of them are.
Right.
However, $189, you can try it yourself. I got an article up at thescreensavers.com that includes a link to the infamous marketing graphic I associate
we love
with
infamous
the Frogpad
marketing graphics.
Good.